Hello, everyone. DJ Kalichakid here. Thank you for tuning in to RGV Community Health Hour. Just a quick reminder, the views expressed on RGV Community Health Hour are for informational purposes only and do not constitute medical advice. Be sure to consult your primary care provider for all your healthcare needs. On today's show, we have a postdoctoral researcher here at UTRGV, Dr. Bhuvana. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
The way I always start out my show or our show is just having the guests introduce themselves a little bit. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your educational background, where you grew up, and how you ended up at UTRGV.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Bhuvana. I'm a postdoctoral fellow now at UTRGV, but I did my PhD and master's at UT Dallas, and I stayed there for like about 7, 8 years before I moved here. Before that, I was in India. I grew up in India for about 23 years,
Oh, wow.
and I did my undergrad in something called as medical electronics. It seems to be like a very new branch, but it's basically bioengineering, but a lot more focused on the electronics part of it.
Wow.
So 90% electronics and 10% of biological background. So I did study a little bit of anatomy and physiology along with the engineering subjects.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my background. But after that, I actually worked in an IT company, like any other Indian would, for 1 year, almost 9 months before I came here.
Wow.
I was a software tester,
Hmm.
but I didn't enjoy my job because that was not what I studied. So meanwhile, I prepared for my higher education. I don't know if it's still a thing. We had to write an exam called GRE to be able to get into
Yeah.
grad school.
I know a lot of universities are dropping that requirement, but there are
Yeah.
some that still require the
I think
GRE.
most of the universities have dropped that
Yeah.
already. So I wrote the GRE, took the language exam, was called IELTS, and then I came here for my master's.
Wow. And so, just real quick, going back to your biomedical engineering, coursework, and you said it was more focused heavily on the electronics. So a lot of like electrical engineering classes, or
Yes, not in my master's, but my undergrad
mm-hmm.
was like almost. So in India, we have a, a lot of engineering branches. So electrical engineering is completely different from electronics and communication.
Okay.
So my undergrad course, which was medical electronics, was very close to electronics and communication. So we just don't have the communication aspect of it. We have all the electronic subjects,
Okay.
logic design, field theory, fundamentals, a lot of different electronic subjects. It was accompanied, of course, because it was medical electronics. We studied a lot of few of the anatomy courses. We had physiological systems and neural networks, and that's how my undergrad was. The graduate school was way more like diverse in that aspect. One difference is that in India, as an undergrad, you don't have an option to pick what courses you want to do.
Oh, wow.
And here, one major thing I noticed was that you can pick any classes you want, right? Apart from that, you will be mingling with students who are in different years of their undergraduate studies. So you could be studying a class with a junior if you're in a senior year,
Yeah.
but that doesn't happen in India.
Wow.
So all the sophomores are in the sophomore year, all the freshmen are in the freshman year, all the junior years are the junior years,
Wow.
seniors are the senior years.
Yeah, it's really interesting because when I was an undergrad, I took I basically put it off for the last semester. It was like a coding course, but it was Visual Basic coding, so it was very simple. But it was 1,000 level course, and I was in already taking 4,000 level classes, so it was kind of weird to be in, with a lot of these younger students who were, I was already older than them, being a military veteran and kind of being ahead of that, the age gap in terms of that. But yeah, it was always interesting to see, these young students starting their early engineering, aspirations and trying to learn how to code and
A generation gap.
yeah, and going through their struggles. And I'm just like, come on, guys, this isn't too bad. Like, just put in a little work. You can figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm just kind of curious. So when you moved from India, did you have a variety of schools you were looking at before you chose UT Dallas, or?
I did. To be honest, I wasn't very aware of everything. And in India, research wasn't a big thing at my university. Research is like a privilege that you only get at like very uh, big or very famous or very high-end universities. Like, so the Oxford or the Harvard equivalent to Indian Institute of Technology schools in India,
Mm.
those are the schools that have funding for research.
Okay.
So Indian Institute of Sciences, Indian Institute of Technology, that's where you can actually see research. But in other schools or universities, they're good schools, but they don't have funding for research. So I wasn't exposed to all the research fields as I was here. But the only research field that was in my university was actually biomedical imaging. So they worked with a lot of MRI and things like that. So that was the only research I knew. So I always thought I was an imaging person. But we did have courses. We had all the bioengineering courses. We had bioengineering, we have biomaterials, we had all the other courses. But I just didn't know what research was going on in those fields until I came to the US, and then I saw every professor on a tenure track or a professor who was teaching also had a lab that they were working on simultaneously. Then you had a choice to pick which field you want to do research in. It could be biomedical imaging, it could be biomaterials, it could be biomechanics, it could be anything you want. So that was really eye-opening for me.
Yeah, having just the wide variety of choices and kind of interests that you could choose to go down.
Yes. So my application list was also like, I don't know. It was, I asked, because I was working at Accenture, I didn't have a lot of time to do my application. So I took help from like a consulting agency, which actually helps you to apply schools.
Oh,
You
wow.
write your exam, and then you hand over your documents to them. And they will provide you with a list of universities you could apply for based on your score. So they classify universities as dream universities, that are safe universities that you will definitely get into, things like that. So to be honest, I didn't do my research that well, but it was really good experience, just like knowing everything. If I had to go back, I would definitely like look into the universities more, probably figure out the area of interest, but I didn't have one. So it was interesting. But then I got into a few universities: San Jose State University,
Okay.
Florida University, I think, and UT Dallas. I did get a scholarship in the Florida University. I don't know why I didn't take it. I felt like UT Dallas was good. I also knew a few people. Like I said, in India, the juniors are juniors, and the others are in their own years. One of my friends, who was 1 year older than me, so she was actually in UT Dallas.
Okay.
And another who was 2 years older than me was also in UT Dallas. So I got in touch with them. I was like, how's the school? And, and they were like, no, this is really good school.
That's
and,
awesome.
Yeah, the school is good. And the bioengineering department was ranked 1 amongst all the engineering departments. So I was like, okay, let me go with this. So yeah, it was really good though. I loved UT Dallas. I loved all the people over there, the research, the department, very close-knit. So I think I made a good choice regardless.
Yeah, I'm sure, it's always nice to have, somebody that can kind of guide you in terms of, knowing somebody at a university and being able to talk to them and kind of
Yeah,
figure
it
out.
does definitely help a lot, because I didn't know them personally. They were just in different classes.
Oh, okay.
But when people move here, or people here in general, especially Texans, that's why I love Texas, because everybody's helpful. When you ask them, they're going to be like, yeah, let's try to figure it out.
Yeah.
So they, even if they don't know anything, they'll lead you to people who can help you. So it worked out to be in the best way. It's funny because the senior, we call them seniors, by the way. So not the senior like here.
Yeah.
So everybody who's older than me is a senior. So I spoke to my senior, and she was like, no, it's really good and everything. And I joined. She happened to be working in a biomaterials lab.
Cool.
And I took the same course with the same professor. I ended up in the same lab. She actually, it's a funny story because we graduated from the same undergrad university. She went to Accenture, and then she worked there 9 months, went to
UT Dallas.
UT Dallas.
And then you kind of followed the same
Yes,
track.
it wasn't planned.
Yeah.
But I met her I spoke to her way after though,
Mm.
after Accenture. So I graduated undergrad. I worked in Accenture, same company, and then she came to UT Dallas, and then we both ended up in the same lab too.
Hmm.
And she was doing my master's thesis, and I just started my master's thesis. So
Wow.
it was really nice to have someone to like help you go through the process.
Yeah, I'm sure. And so, did you take any time off after you got your master's before you started your PhD, or you just kind of went right to it?
No, yeah. So one more thing with international students is you only have 90 days to find a job after you graduate.
Mm.
That was always bothering me, but it wasn't like I didn't plan doing a PhD after coming here either. So I joined my master's. My goal was to get an internship, finish
Mm-hmm.
everything, just get a job. But then
Mm-hmm.
I was doing my master's. In my second semester, I took the biomaterials class. I loved the professor so much. She had no exams, but I took notes every class because her course was amazing and she's amazing. Then I reached out to her, hey, I wanna, like volunteer in your lab. And then she was like, okay, let me think about it. And then there were two of us who volunteered from that class. And she was like, okay, what do you have in mind? Do you want to do a master's thesis? I was like, yeah, sure.
Like, why not, right?
Yeah. And then I joined the lab. The lab was amazing. The lab culture and the older students, just not older by age, but just experience, they
Mm-hmm.
were really welcoming. I didn't know nothing about research, nothing at all, like zero knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So I just started off and then I just took it off from there and I loved the lab like so much. Then I reached out to her saying, hey, I want to do a PhD if there's an opening. She actually kept me hanging for like a semester because she didn't know if she had funds.
Oh
She
yeah,
only
yeah.
hired students if she knew she could fund them as a research assistant
Mm-hmm.
later.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like waiting for a while, and it was like not planned, so it just happened along the way.
Yeah, that's one of the blessings of, being an undergrad and being able to do research in a department, because for me, the way I fell into research was, I was pretty naive in terms of how it all worked. Like, unless you've kind of, fall into the situation, I never realized like you can just go knock on a PI's door and be like, hey, if you, want to volunteer, here I am.
Yeah.
And most of the time, they'll be happy to take you, especially on a volunteer status where you're just working for free and getting the experience.
Hmm.
But I was taking organic chemistry one, and the professor that was teaching the class, one day she just showed up to class and she was like, hey, who wants to volunteer to do research in my lab? And I just raised my hand, like, hey, I'd love to.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, I thought like opportunities like that had to be presented to you versus being able to just go and knock on doors and go ask around and try to find something to do, essentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how I fell into my research experience. And it was really great because a lot of the labs that we do as undergrads, they're very formalized. They give you a paper to follow instructions, and you just follow the instructions, and that's it.
Checklist.
Yeah, but in a real research setting, you're kind of essentially doing the same thing, but you don't know if you're going to get the desired result, right? So you might still be following the PI who's got years of experience and is going to guide you on what to do and what not to do. But at the end of the experiment, you just never know what the results are going to be, and then you just kind of work together, lab meeting, brainstorm some other idea to try to tackle the problem or try to get the desired result.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, being able to do research as an undergrad for 3 years in the chemistry department was really, eye opening to me, and being able to get that experience and how a real research lab operated, and to get that experience.
Amazing.
Hmm.
Usually undergrads don't have the opportunity to do the research all the time. Even if you reached out, they wouldn't probably say yes because
Hmm.
they might have all the spots filled up in their lab. So it's rare that you actually find a research
Yeah,
opportunity, especially as an undergrad. But it adds a lot to your profile.
yeah, yeah, that's for sure. That's why I try to tell a lot of the undergrads now is like, man, take every opportunity you can to get research experience, or whether you can or not, it depends on your major and things like that. But
Hmm.
even if you can't do research, try to be active in student organizations or try to do some kind of volunteer work. And because, as undergrads, we're kind of limited in terms of our opportunity. And so, yeah, anything you can do to kind of boost that resume for after when you graduate. Because, when I tell people all the stuff I do now, doing my PhD in human genetics, doing this radio show, I'm very active with the business side of UTRGV. Like I was in Westlaco yesterday till like 10 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
And so I was doing, they had a student startup showcase where they have students who want to present their businesses there. And, and then I'm also, I also work at the university technically, right? I'm doing the work, the genetic engineering work in one of our labs. And so I have all these things going on. And when I tell people, like, I'm trying to kill myself while I'm a PhD student, because,
Yeah.
that's the only time as a student you really got to make yourself stick out from everyone else. Because, if you just kind of fall into the normal degree plan, you take all the same classes, even if you get straight A's, like, there's a lot of other students that are doing that too.
Yeah.
But if you've got research experience and volunteering with some organization, so, you're kind of like raising yourself above the crowd a little bit.
That is true.
Yeah, so that's why I try to tell everybody, like, that's why I'm trying to kill myself now because, oh yeah, and I also do the scuba diving stuff with the marine biologist. So it's just like, it's never ending for me. But
No,
yeah,
that's how it should be, right? I
mm-hmm,
mean, I know as a graduate student you're paid less, but it's you sign up for it thinking that it's for a better future.
mm-hmm,
But it's also great because you get to be a senior person in the lab as a PhD student, but also be able to use the student benefits,
yeah, yeah,
which is amazing. I know it's a lot of work and time as a part of your life, but I think it's all worth it at the
mm-hmm,
end of your PhD when you look back. Everybody has struggles, but it's amazing how you feel. I don't know if this is true, but this is something I read. There's only 4% of the people in all of the world that sign up for PhD or do PhDs.
mm-hmm.
So to be one amongst the 4% of the whole world's population is actually amazing.
Yeah, for sure. That's one thing they always tell us in our department too, is like, just think about, like it's a lot of work, but just think about at the end, you're going to be one of the few people that have a PhD. And especially, in getting the experience that we have in our department with these, world-class PIs and all their connections they have.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a really great opportunity, and of course, I'm really thankful for it. And you also get opportunities as a student versus like after you graduate. So like over the summer, I went to Michigan for a week to do transgenic. So I did a week training at the Transgenic Animal Corps in Michigan, and just learning about doing genetic engineering techniques with CRISPR and microinjections and glass fabrication for capillaries and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I got that opportunity over my coworker is because he works for the university. He's not a student. Well, I mean, he's technically a student, but he's doing like data science and coding in another department. And so they were like, yeah, we can use the PhD funds to send you. So that's why I kind of got sent, because I still have that student status. And
Yeah.
yeah, I was really thankful for that opportunity.
That's really good. I mean, there's a lot of. I think you have to also be like open a few times. They'll actually come to you
Mm-hmm.
if you make yourself seen. Like you're involved in like a lot of student organization things. Example, this radio. I don't know how many guests you meet. Maybe they'll think of you sometime when there's like, oh, there's an opportunity like this. There's an internship, and it's amazing how. Things actually fall in place when you don't think they will.
Yeah, for
Especially
sure.
as a student, yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna take a quick music break and we'll come back kind of with that topic in mind. So stay tuned, everyone. Thanks.
Said I started my master's in my master's thesis in my second year of master's.
Mm.
So I know some people tend to finish their thesis in 1 year. For me, it was highly impossible because of the nature of the work, because they were all experiments and I was working with bacteria and cells, and they have their own brain. So you have,
Yeah,
sometimes
exactly.
they don't work, sometimes you contaminate things. So I wasn't finished with my master's when I started PhD.
Wow.
So it's another funny story, because like I started with masters 2017 fall, but I started PhD 2019 fall,
Mm-hmm.
but I finished masters 2020 spring.
Wow.
So for a while there, I did like three things. I did PhD research, I did master's thesis research, and I did PhD coursework. So that semester was actually stressful, and I was a TA. So
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure your
That-
plate was full.
yes, that semester was crazy. I still don't know how I did it. But it was like amazing, because even though I started master's theses in the same lab, and I continued as a PhD student. My master's thesis and my PhD project were not at all related, so I had to put two different
Wow.
efforts.
I was actually wondering that, so thank you
Yeah,
for pointing that out.
it
Because I mean,
wasn't connected. It's close enough, but
yeah.
I used the skills that I developed during my master's thesis in my PhD work, but they weren't related. So I had to start over doing the literature survey, reading papers, getting familiar with the project, and working with my PI. And we were putting together one R1 NIH grant for my PhD. So
Wow.
I had no experience writing research grants, and my PI is she's very encouraging of people becoming independent and learning new things. So as a first year PhD student, she already pushed me. She was like, okay, you're going to write the grant with me. So I had a different experience. I had no experience doing any research. Then I started as a master's student. Then I started doing PhD. Actually, then in my second semester of PhD was COVID. So
Yeah.
everything shut down. But I did my qualifying exam in my second semester of PhD. And after my qualifying exam, I actually did my master's thesis, defense.
Wow.
So I got my master's like way after. I was already like qualified as a PhD student. So then I did my master's thesis. One thing was that I finished the tasks for my master's thesis, but one of the things that takes the longest time is actually putting them together, right? Writing a paper,
Yeah.
thesis, defense, the book. So that was the one that was taking more time. But when COVID happened, we were not allowed to go to lab for a long time. So then my PI suggested, why don't you take this time to work on your master's, get that paper out while you're working from home. So
Yeah.
that actually worked out in a way. But it was really good. But I think then I started 2019. Then I finished 2019 fall, but I finished spring 2024. But I also did an internship at the FDA, Food and Drug Administration.
Oh, wow.
So I had to.
Was that there in Dallas as well,
No,
or?
I had to move to DC, not DC, Silver Spring, Maryland for that. So I had to take a pause from my PhD work for like about 7-8 months.
Wow.
So it delayed my graduation, but it was worth it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So yeah, like you said, the opportunities like come to you. If I graduated before that, I wouldn't be able to do that internship.
Yeah.
So I was almost done with my research. All my experiments were done. I was only doing data analysis and I was writing. So it was the perfect time for me to take a break, do the internship, come back, just do my defense. And that's what ended up happening.
Wow.
So in my fourth year of PhD, I got the opportunity. That's when I came to UTRGV actually. I had gotten like a small grant from the university to conduct research. Then I came here for like a month to work in our collaborators lab here at UTRGV. And while I was here, my PI, because I was really hardworking in the lab, she identified that. And she was like, oh, this opportunity showed up. Do you want to like try? Do you want to do the internship interview? Because the PIs over there in FDA, they were friends networking again.
Yeah, yeah.
With my PI.
Wow.
So she was like, and the past students that my PI sent to their lab have given them amazing, like they've given them amazing mentorship, and the students were like really good. So they always rely on her students when they want to give this opportunity.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
she was
awesome.
like, yeah, she was like, do you want to go? I was like, yeah, of course I want to like try.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, the interview happened. I actually gave the interview when I was in Harlingen in the RGV area.
Wow, wow.
1 year ago. So 2 years ago, 2023 December, and then then we did the paperwork and everything. So I started my internship in February 2024. I was there till August 2024. Then I came back to UT Dallas. Then August to December, I finished everything, and I graduated December 2024. So that's why it took 5.5 years. But I was
Wow.
probably finish in 5 years. Yeah, I don't think there's like a timeline for it, and I don't think there should be. It depends again on anybody and the nature of their work.
Yeah,
There were few
yeah.
students in our lab who finished in 3.5 years, 2.5 years. I say
Wow.
they're crazy. But also probably the type of research they did, right? Like I did animal research. takes a long time to do animal research. You have to wait for the animals to reach a certain age. You have to
Mm-hmm.
do your animal surgeries. Not all of them will be successful, which is unfortunate sometimes. Although we
Mm-hmm.
try to minimize everything.
Yeah, of course.
But sometimes you end up doing more work, and then you have to get the animal samples, you have to process them. That alone takes another semester. Then you
Mm-hmm.
have to do post processing, whatever tasks you plan, like
Mm-hmm.
histology,
Yeah.
omics, proteomics, whatnot. And it takes forever to do all those things. So that's like already 3 years.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I'd talked to you before the show about my experiences now. It's like I asked them for an extra year because I'm doing the animal experiments and having to do the histology and all the omics, and of course it's just it never ends seemingly. And then of
Yeah.
course there'll be some other grant they want to apply for in terms of some other idea that they have, and then they just kind of continue adding to the work.
Yeah.
And I
It's
don't
funny.
mind because I love being in the lab, but it's like at some point it's like, man, I need to kind of like
Yeah.
kind of narrow down my focus and try to get the stuff that I need to graduate. But at this point, I'm thinking like, man, maybe I should just, because like anything with the PhD programs in our fields of of study, they're grant funded, and so getting those grants are really important. But at this point, I feel like, man, even if I got to pay my own way through, it's like maybe I'll just pay my own way for that extra year, and for because
I hope you don't have to.
yeah, hopefully not, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's just so much work to do in such a short amount of time.
It is. My mentor here, she was my co-mentor. We're very good friends as well, and now she's my boss. It's funny because everybody, even my other mentors before, and the people I knew at FDA. At FDA, though, everybody has a PhD. So if
Hmm.
you go there, you're the one with no degree.
Yeah,
So if you go outside, it'll be like, oh, you're doing a PhD, big deal. But the FDA, every day, everybody has a PhD. So you're like the least qualified
yeah.
amongst everyone. And those people I spoke to, everybody kept adding aims
Hmm.
to their thesis project. So everybody kept adding things to their project. And my mentor here usually says there's always something to do. So you don't finish your PhD, you give up. One point, okay, this is where I'm going to stop. This is
Hmm.
where I have to finish my PhD. It's funny she says that, but no, there's always more to do. You can, if you want, you can take a postdoc. You can still be collaborating. That's part of networking too. You could leave your PhD lab, but still collaborate with them.
Yeah.
I still work with the UT Dallas lab.
Oh, awesome.
Um, in fact, that's how I met my mentor too. But yeah, it's always there, so you can draw where you want to stop doing your aims, where you can. But I would say it takes at least 4.5, 5 years for us to do a PhD.
Yeah, and for me, it'll be less than 4 years, and that's why I'm like, man, I've been doing this animal work, this animal research for, I guess, technically 2 years now. Because the first thing is like kind of like in your situation, one of the first things I did with my mentor is, we both wrote a grant together, a supplemental grant to add to our. So he had already received a grant to do gene knockout work using CRISPR, and so we applied for a supplemental grant to pay me and to, essentially knock out another gene
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't kind of proposed in the original grant. And so, yeah, we ended up writing that supplemental grant together, and ended up getting awarded the grant. And that's what paid me for the past 2 years.
Nice,
And
congratulations.
yeah, thank you. But it was a really great experience to, of course, he did a lot of the heavy lifting because I had never written a grant before, but it was like good to get that experience and start to build those skills of grant writing. And I mean, that's basically what scientists live and die off of, is grants.
Very essential.
And having a Dr. Vandenberg as my mentor, he's in his research, experience, he's gotten over $100 million in grants. So he's like a prolific grant writer. Yeah, yeah. So it's quite the mentor to have in terms of grant writing and scientific writing. And he always kind of uh, gives me a little bit of a hard time in terms of, because for our PhD, we can write like a classical dissertation,
Mm-hmm.
or we can publish 3 first author papers,
Yeah.
and we can kind of go about it 2 different ways. And And he's like, well, I don't know about you writing papers because to write a good paper takes like 5 years. And that's for one paper, he says. So he's like, yeah, I don't know
Yes.
about writing a paper. You should probably just do the classical like dissertation writing and defend.
Right. But
Uh,
you could always use your dissertation work to publish a paper.
yeah, yeah, of course that comes further down the road, but
Right.
yeah, so it's like Marco, what my classmate Marco, he is got one paper now that I don't know if they've submitted for publication yet, but I mean it's like 95% done, and so he's done a lot of work over the last year, maybe year and a half to put that paper together, and of course do the work to, you know,
Yeah.
get the results and everything for the paper. And he's got another one kind of that he's working on. He's collaborating a lot with Dr. Chu and doing the cell work there. And so, just to bring it around a little bit, so you had mentioned before that so are you a part of the podiatry school, or yeah?
Yes.
So what is it exactly that you do for?
So it's interesting because I am working for the School of Podiatric Medicine, but I'm employed by the Office of Research.
Okay.
So I'm not an employee of School of Podiatric Medicine, but
Mm.
my mentor is. So
Okay.
I work in the lab at the School of Podiatric Medicine, but my employer technically is Office of Research. That's because my mentor received a grant to host a postdoc. I think they were asking around all the PIs in the universities, what do you need to do? Improve your research. What do you
Mm-hmm.
need to do? And then they came up with like, oh, if it'd be really helpful to have a postdoc. So then I think Dr. Sager, he's the Dean of Research or President of Research here at UTRGV. And he said, okay, so I'm going to give these many PIs the funds to hire postdoc for 1 year. So they came up with the grant for a postdoc hiring for a couple of the PIs here at UTRGV located in different locations.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they created a position, postdoc position. That's why it's from the Office of Research. But the PIs are in different departments.
Okay.
So we are employed by Office of Research, but you work for the department that your PI is in or mentor is in.
Cool.
So, yeah, that's how I came here. In fact, that's like again networking.
Mm-hmm.
So my PI here, her name is Dr. Claudia Bighetti. She was a postdoc in my lab at UT Dallas.
Oh wow.
So when I was a PhD student, Dr. Bighetti was a postdoc, and Dr. Bighetti and my PhD PI, Dr. Daniele Rodriguez, they were collaborating for a long time. And then Dr. Bighetti came to UTRGV, UTD as a postdoc. And then once she finished her postdoc, towards the end of her postdoc, she got offered a position here as an assistant professor. The school was just opening. So if you don't know, the School of Podiatric Medicine is only 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So she was the first hires for the
Oh wow.
department. So they built the department together. She's in the syllabus forming committee. She's the director
Wow.
of the committee and all that. So yeah, so she was hired like 2.5, 3 years ago. And then she was here 2 years. She was a professor. And then she got offered the postdoc grant from the Office of Research. And
Cool.
I was finishing. So she was like, hey, you want to come here? I'm like, yeah.
Man, that's awesome. So all the timing worked out really well, huh?
Yes, and like you said, it's networking. That's
Mhm.
how the FDA internship came to me. That's how this opportunity came to me. And you don't have to be like, oh, just doing everything for networking, but it helps that you involve yourself in different things.
Mm-hmm.
I have had like you said, it might sound cliche, but I feel like a lot of the opportunities that I got was because of networking. I didn't consciously be like, oh, I want to network. And
Yeah.
you just like go there, just like do what you can,
Mhm.
just do something, and then things will come to you. Actually, I have experienced that throughout my PhD journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think with our research experience and like for me, when I was doing the research as an undergrad, the PI, Dr. Hahn at Texas A&M Kingsville, she was just an associate professor and now she's the chair of the chemistry department. So it's like, I feel like if I ever need a job, like I can probably just go to her and like,
Sure. Yeah.
try to get her, network involved. And of course, being the chair of the department helps for
Yeah.
opportunities. And I also did a year of research. So my senior year, I was doing research in the chemistry department and the environmental engineering department. And so I did a year of research in environmental engineering, and so I do have some connections, in that department as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, all these opportunities are just such blessings to have because
Really.
you never think about it as networking. You just think about it as going to work, and of course you're
Yeah.
going to have to talk to people, and you're going to have your boss or your supervisor, and eventually, they see your work ethic, and then whenever they have opportunities, they usually think about the most, the
Just do
ones.
what you need to do.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. All right, well, with that, we're going to take our last music break, so stay tuned, everyone, and we'll be right back. Thanks. All right, everyone, thanks for staying tuned in. So we have, let me see, we have about 5 to 8 minutes left. Let me turn this down. Dr. Buvana. So, the way I like to end these shows is basically give you the mic if there's anything you want to promote or anything you want to talk about, advice you want to give to these students, maybe students in your class. No, but yeah, whatever you want to talk about, feel free to take it away.
Yeah, sure. I don't know if I mentioned my lab or the lab I work with right now is called Regenerative Medicine Lab, and Dr. Biggetti is the PI. And we're located in Harlingen. We do a lot of the type of work we do actually is yes, closely related to podiatric medicine, but it all stems from like implant biology and implantology. So
Wow.
we do a lot of implant work, orthopedic, dental, podiatric,
Wow.
everything. And it also revolves around diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my PI, Dr. Biggetti, she has a lot of experience. It's I don't want to say coincidental. I think she was destined to end up here because a lot of her previous work involved diabetic models. So she worked
Wow.
with mice and rats and different animal models actually. By her background, I think her PhD was in osteoimmunology, but she has a lot of expertise in histology, a lot of immunohistochemistry, and all the histology techniques. So she used all of that for implantology,
Hmm.
but she's actually a dentist.
What? Wow.
Yes.
That's crazy.
There's nothing she hasn't done. I love her. She was actually a dentist. She has a biology degree before that. She actually was in the nursing school, then she moved to dentistry.
Hmm.
And then she did a PhD. And then she did a postdoc, and then she became a professor. She has
Wow.
a lot of expertise, experience, and she's one of the amazing people I know. And we work with orthopedic implants. So my previous lab in UT Dallas was also working with dental and orthopedic implants. So we carried out the research work. My expertise is used from there to here, but we
Mm-hmm.
apply to different things. Of course, diabetic models. I work with diabetic models in my previous research lab, and we work with that here too. So
Mm-hmm.
anything regenerative, we're collaborating with as many labs as we can. And here too, with Marco's PI, I think, with their lab, Dr. Chiu,
Mm-hmm.
and we're always open to collaborating. And it is difficult to say that we can take anyone, but to make it accessible to all the students, Dr. Biggetti has actually um, signed up with the School of Biology to give credits for research for undergraduate students.
Oh yeah, I know we do something kind of similar in our department.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
So we have undergrads also in our lab. Right now, I mentor, I think, 4 or 5 undergrads.
Wow.
So they're not School of Podiatric Medicine, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So they are different health sciences. Some are biology majors.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you also, I don't know if they're bioengineering students, but health sciences and biology majors come to our lab, especially if you're pre-med, pre-dental, pre-podiatric medicine.
Mm-hmm.
It helps to be in a lab.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's you see the School of Podiatric Medicine too. A lot of our undergrads who were pre-med or something else
Mm-hmm.
actually developed interest for podiatric medicine. Some of them joined our school
Wow.
other lab experience.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, it's really good, the research experience. I'd say just go for any opportunity you'd get,
Hmm.
especially if you're an undergrad. Don't consider that any task that's given to you is small, even if it's doing the dishes in the lab.
Yeah,
It
that's
adds
where
to
everybody
your
starts. Yeah,
yes,
yeah. That's where
exactly.
I started when I was
Yeah,
doing my undergrad research with Dr. Han. It was literally just wash the glassware,
yeah.
and eventually we'll be,
Build up,
yeah,
right?
we'll
I
build
see
you
how
up.
dedicated you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I still do dishes in my lab. I do
Mm-hmm.
all the chores in our lab. So I feel like just grab any opportunity you get, just go for it, whether you're master's, PhD, undergrad, it doesn't matter. Try to get research experience for sure. That adds a lot to your profile.
Mm-hmm.
I know it can be difficult with PhD coursework and everything, but like you said, it's better to engage yourself in different things. I was very social, as I'm not an introvert, but I'm not like an extreme extrovert, but I'm very social.
Mm-hmm.
So I involved myself in a lot of different things too. There's this society called Society for Biomaterials. It's actually very big on the national level, very big
Wow.
agency. I was going to the conference on the flight one day, and somebody noticed my poster,
Yeah, the
box.
tube. Yeah.
Yeah, the tube, and he was like, "Are you going to the?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then he happened to be the president of the student chapter, national student chapter for SFB.
Wow.
And then I got speaking to him, and they were looking for officers for next year. So I just chatted with him, and then I hung out with him in the
The
conference,
conference.
and then I was the bylaws chair for the next year's
Wow.
student chapter.
Wow.
So it turned out to be like good, good experiences. Then you meet people at the national level, you organize events at the national level. And then I wasn't big on public speaking. I was really nervous before, but PhD journey actually brings you out of that zone, right? But
Yeah.
also, I believe that you should be able to communicate your research and work to people who have no research background, which
Mm-hmm.
adds a lot. People get interested in it. People will encourage their kids to learn about it. People will encourage other people to learn about it. Maybe they'll take up being in grad school.
Mm-hmm.
I love mentoring, and I love encouraging anybody who wants to do a PhD. I know many people might not agree with me. They're like, oh, it's a terrible journey. I'm not like that. I
Mm-hmm.
love what I did, and I always say if you want to do a PhD, go for it. It's not a small commitment, obviously. It's a
Yeah.
5-year commitment. Think about it. But I'd say I really grew up as a person, not just as a researcher. So both professionally and personally, I grew a lot through my PhD journey. It's amazing how you see yourself doing things that you never thought you will.
Mm-hmm.
So I also participated in the. I don't know if they have it at UTRGV. If it's not, you should bring it up. It's called 3-minute thesis competition.
I don't. Um, I want to say we might have that. I think I have seen flyers for it before, but I could, I
It's
could be thinking of
amazing.
something from social media that I
It's a
saw.
very good, especially for grad students.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, you only have 3 minutes to present your 5-year PhD project
Mm-hmm.
to people who have no idea what your research is about, because the judges and the audience will be from all over, like different branches. It can be economics, it can be like
Mm-hmm.
music, it can be different background
Mm-hmm.
judges. 3 minutes, layman terms, but not oversimplifying your research. You have to make it impressive, of course, because
Yeah.
you only have 3 minutes. It was an amazing experience for me. So at UT Dallas, you were allowed to participate after you took your qualifying exam, and I went 3 straight years, every year. After
Wow.
that,
That's
I
awesome.
think, yeah, I put myself out of the public speaking fear from that 3-minute thesis competition. It gives you so much organizational skills, and I didn't win until the third year. First year, I got select. All the 3 years, I went to finals, but I
Cool.
did not win any year. But in the last year, I won the public People's Choice Award.
Cool.
Of course, it comes with money, right? That's
Yeah.
another thing. But the first and the second, the winners were amazing. I agree with their choices. The judges were like completely fair. But the Office of Graduate Education is the one who organizes this event. They
Okay.
identified how passionate I was with this, so they actually chose me to represent UT Dallas at the state level 3-minute thesis competition.
Wow. That's
Not
awesome.
because I won,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they saw I went. I didn't give up, even
Mm-hmm.
though like 3 years I was in finals and didn't win. So it was really good. So I'd say just put yourself into places where you might not necessarily feel comfortable with all the time, but it takes you places.
Yeah, and that's how you grow as a person. You know,
Yes.
you have to get uncomfortable to, grow and learn
Yeah.
and get the skills you need. So,
Yes.
yeah, that's been a big part of my journey is like even doing this radio show, like I talked to you before, we got on the air. It's like, man, I used to be so nervous doing this at first because it's like so new to me. And, I didn't want to mess something up and then I didn't want to sound foolish, but we all sound foolish if we talk long enough, So,
Of course, yeah. But it all comes opportunities. I feel like the graduate education offices in all schools have a lot of opportunities that we overlook.
hmm
I always kept an eye on the emails from Office of Graduate Education because they always had opportunities for us to look up to. I actually applied for 4 grant awards from that. So I
Wow.
got 3 travel awards
Nice.
because I didn't have a particular funding for my project, which means automatically the funding for your travel might also be affected, right? Because
hmm
my project didn't have funds. My PI found funds for my research, but that's a different thing. But it'll be hard for her to also fund your travel if you have good results. They might have funds, but
hmm
not all the time because they also need to fund other projects.
Yeah, of
So you
course.
should also look for opportunities yourself. So I went to 4 conferences, actually 5 conferences with my own travel awards.
Wow.
Some of them my PI funded partially, but she was okay with it because the rest of the money was coming from the travel award,
Yeah.
which was good because then you get to experience that and then you go to different conferences from
hmm
that. So after my 3rd year, I traveled almost every 2 months for a conference. So
Wow.
you collect data by then, right?
Yeah.
You can also
Yeah.
submit to conferences. But then by then I also figured out there are these opportunities that the graduate education office gives you,
Hmm.
and they also give you grants to help you finish your PhD. I feel like you have to keep an eye
hmm
on these awards that are possible. It helps your improve your grant writing skills. It helps you bring money to disseminate your research elsewhere. You don't have to necessarily be thinking that, oh, maybe my PI doesn't have funds for this.
Yeah.
You can fund your travel too sometimes. So I'd say just keep an eye out for anything. Just try
Yeah.
everything you can.
For sure. That's some great advice and some great things you brought up here at the end. So thank you, Dr. Bhuvana, for coming on the show today. I
Thank you
really
for
enjoyed
having me.
having you as a guest. And for everyone listening, just remember to stay curious, stay healthy, and let's thrive together, RGV.